Well, the scene is set in Jacksonville for what will be championship Saturday night football. I'll tell you all about that and more here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is here, man. It is the weekend, and it is championship weekend here in Jacksonville. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of your daily Locked On Jaguars podcast, where it's your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen, reminding you that we are free on all platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, you don't have to pay for it. Just make sure you like and subscribe on the YouTube page. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. Man, I don't know where to start here other than to tell you that this city, Jacksonville, Florida, is already on fire. All right. This is a game that a Hollywood script couldn't write it any better. They are playing their rivals, the Tennessee Titans, for the right to go to the playoffs as the AFC South division champion representative. And they're favored to win the game. I'll tell you in segment 3, at the end of the day, that's what I'm going to call it, what exactly I think will happen. I'll tell you how fortunate the Jags are to be playing in winning you're in, as opposed to the mess that Detroit and Seattle find themselves in. And Green Bay is in a similar situation with Jacksonville winning you're in. That thing in Detroit, with Detroit and Seattle and Green Bay's involved, is really funny. I'll go over that in segment 3. Segment 2, I'll give you some good news regarding Damar Hamlin. He's feeling, well, I don't know how he's feeling, but he's showing improvement that has everyone optimistic. And I'll tell you why that has an effect on this weekend's game with Jacksonville. We'll also talk about Joshua Dobbs, and there's a player that I hope he doesn't turn into on Saturday, because if he does, that's trouble for Jacksonville. But the scene is set here. We're going to go over this in segment 1. We're going to talk about that scene. The city's buzzing. The city's on fire. The weather's supposed to be pretty decent. Everyone is going to, I put out a little tweet, and then I found out that most people are going to start tailgating at 1 o'clock. Normally for a 1 o'clock game, I think people start at 8:39, some people at 10. 4 o'clock games, I think they usually start at 11, 10:30, 11. They're starting at 1 o'clock. They're going to be out there 7 hours early. And I know Jaguar fans, I've seen a lot of tailgates. I have to walk through those tailgates on my way to the media entrance, to the press box. Wild scene, okay? Wild scene. And I think it'll be wild this Saturday night. And it's a night game too. You got to understand Jacksonville for me to really explain it to you. So there's this part of Jacksonville where the stadium is. It's close to east side, what we call it out east here in Jacksonville. It's real close to it. In fact, a lot of the areas where people park are out east, right? Let's just say it could be a lot of fun out east, especially if you understand your surroundings. And I can't imagine how much fun it's going to be this weekend out east and down Florida Avenue, A. Philip Randolph. It'll be, I think it's going to be like the Florida-Georgia game. If you've ever been here for Florida-Georgia or Georgia-Florida, it'll be all petty on me today. You'll understand that this is going to be something to behold. Now, the tailgating, by starting so early, that means there might be people working on their second intoxication by the time this game starts. There might be people that go up, back down, and then go up right before they go in to the stadium. I think there'll be a lot of people outside of the stadium that won't come in, that'll be watching on big screens at their tailgate. I put out a tweet earlier on my social media that all I asked for was just that. I'm not being a Debbie Downer, dude. I just want people to be careful. I don't want anybody to end up in the pokey, because it's right down the street from the stadium. The police could probably walk you or ride you on the handlebars of a bicycle to the jail. I don't want anybody in the pokey. I don't want anybody getting in trouble and driving when they shouldn't be and having, something go wrong. So I just put out a little PSA telling everybody, hey, man, have fun, enjoy it. I don't want to be the guy that tells you to not have fun, but be safe. Please be safe. Jaguars win the game, man. You ain't going to be able to enjoy it because you'll be trying to bail yourself out of jail come Monday morning. Please be safe. In terms of the health report from both teams, good news for the Titans, not necessarily good news for the Jaguars, that Danico Autry is going to play, hadn't played in a couple of weeks. Jeffrey Simmons is off of the injury report. He's a full go. Derrick Henry, who wasn't injured in the first place, is going to play. Like last night, Tyler Rowland said on our crossover from Locked On Titans, like, duh, he's going to play. Yeah, Derrick Henry's going to play. Derrick Henry's going to have some family here, too. He has a big family. My wife is actually, I keep telling everybody it's their cousins. They don't know each other, but big family. He's from right here, about 20 miles north of Jacksonville in Yulee. So the goal is to stop Derrick Henry. They are healthy. The Jaguars, Brandon Scherff, he's going to play. Trayvon Walker came back last week. So they got their full clip of guys for the Jaguars without, of course, the guys that have been placed on injured reserve. Cam Robinson, obviously, and DeJuan Smoot are the two main guys that won't play for the Jaguars, obviously, because they can't. But the Jaguars are ready to go. They're ready to go. Health won't be an issue. There'll be no excuse, no injury excuse. So this game is super important to not only the Jaguar and Titans faithful, but everyone around the NFL, and people are going to be watching. It's going to be on prime time, of course, and everyone gets the chance to see the best of the Jaguars. So discussed the health report, talked about the tailgate, and talked about the wild atmosphere, especially if you're not from here and you're planning to visit. Let me tell you, the scene is set and the city is on fire, ready for fireworks to happen Saturday night for the Jaguars to go from having the first pick in the draft, last place, to being into the playoffs and hosting a home playoff game is something that is to behold. I mean, it is this city is off the chain. I've been dealing with people every single day. I actually had 7, and I thought that number was low, but I had 7. What makes it interesting is it was 7 people that normally don't call me. Bro, is there any way you can help me get some tickets? No, I can't. The 2 I had, I gave them both to my sons. So no, there's no way I can help anybody get any tickets. You're going to have to spend the money or go down there to the guys, clapping them in their palms and try to figure out if they can help you this weekend. Can't help you with that one. The OG cannot help you at all. Segment 2, I'm going to talk about the health of Damar Hamlin, which seems to be improving, and that is something that a lot of people have wanted to see happen. How that helps the competitive balance of our game and the approach and the mindset, even though that's not important in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Damar Hamlin. And who I hope Joshua Dobbs doesn't turn into this week. And I say that because he's a pro. And whenever you have had a guy who's been around, especially one that's really, really smart and intelligent, you always have to be wary that they all of a sudden become something. And we've seen that something this year, and I'll explain who that is in just a second. We'll go through all of that here on Locked On Jaguars in just a second. But first, I have to let you know that today's show is sponsored and brought to you by PrizePicks. Man, if you haven't played PrizePicks yet, you are absolutely missing out on everything, because PrizePicks, to me, is fun and easy, and it's straight to the point. It's a daily fantasy game where there are player projections. Like, for instance, is Trevor Lawrence going to score 2 touchdowns, 2.5, 3? You have to decide whether it's more or less than what PrizePicks has designated for those players. But you got to pick at least 2 players. You pick 2, anywhere between 2 and 5 players. And what happens is, if you get them right, you'll win up to 5 times, sometimes even more than that, of your money. That's right. You can win that much on PrizePicks. You can win 10 times your money if you get it right. Now, if you choose the flex option, there's a way for you to still collect a little bit of change. You know what I mean? But you don't have to get them all right. So make sure you explore that when you check out PrizePicks. Make sure what you do, though, is you go to your app store, find prizepicks.com, or just get online and do it on your phone, man. Go to PrizePicks, and first-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 when you use the promo code Locked On. That's right. The promo code is Locked On. And if you go to PrizePicks, you will win up to, that's right, I'm serious. I have seen it happen because I have actually done it. You can win 10 times your money on any entry. Now, if you use the promo code, you'll get an instant match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. So make sure you go to prizepicks.com or find it in your app store and get going today on PrizePicks. All right, here, man, moving along here on segment 2 of Locked On Jaguars, which your team every day, and we thank you for making us your first listen, as we got a bunch of Jaguar fans out here in the hallway making noise. They know I'm doing the Jaguars podcast, and they are going crazy. Hopefully my microphone blanks them out. They're trying to knock on the window, give me my attention. I told you something's wrong in this city, man. Everybody's going wild. Quick report from the story that has grabbed the hearts of everyone around the National Football League and beyond the National Football League. And I know many of us here at the Locked On Podcast Network have done our own individual shows about Damar Hamlin, the second-year player for the Buffalo Bills, who right before our very eyes had went to cardiac arrest during the game and was on the field for about an hour. Kudos to those first responders on the field and in Cincinnati. The news came out today that Damar Hamlin is doing much better, communicating in some form or fashion with his family. He even asked, according to his family, who won the game. That's the best news I've heard in a long time, and I'm sure most of you all agree. I've seen some stuff on Twitter where a couple of people thought everyone was virtue signaling and going over. I even saw the Drago meme from Rocky. And to those few miserable people, I'm sorry that you feel that way. But I think everything has been sincere and genuine when it comes to thinking about Damar. For me, it was hard for me to imagine players from those two particular teams, but even guys around the league, being able to play football the way they've always played it and challenge real estate and be very physical, knowing that something could have gone wrong with one of their fraternity brothers. The fact that he said who won the game, it shows you the spirit of these guys that go out and play the game every single week. And I always said that I thought the league and I thought most fans would take their cue from the players. I believe I saw Buffalo Bills fans today, players smiling in the locker room on pictures. Folks are going to take their cue, and I think he's kind of telling everybody, y'all go do your thing, play. And that's just the way I see it, and that's how I feel about it. So we're glad that he's doing better for him and his family. Again, applause to everyone. I heard his foundation has raised over $7 million. For his cause, something he started. He wanted to raise $2,500 to help underprivileged children, and now he has $7 million to be able to do that. There was also a call from the family to donate to the first responders in Cincinnati and to the trauma unit in Cincinnati. Another very good idea. I would suggest that anyone does that as someone who has been in ICU recently. You can't take for granted the things that people in our community, in the medical community and the first responder community do. So we appreciate them. So I told you I was going to tell you how it kind of helps a little bit to hear that. I feel a little bit free. I feel free to go out and cheer a physical play by the Jaguars. Now, I may be softer than a lot of y'all. And if I am, if you didn't feel this way, then fine. But I feel like I had to hear or feel something positive come from that situation before I could really just set loose and become that fan that I used to be before I saw it, where I still want the guys to play physical. I still want to yell boom when I see a good hit. I still want to be enthusiastic by a nice block or a nice blitz pickup and a crackback and all of that stuff. I think I'll be there Saturday because of his improvement and the fact that he asked who won the game. Like, he really cares about who won the game. And it really does give us a reason to smile. Josh Dobbs, I said I was going to mention him. I don't want Josh Dobbs to wake up and be motivated and turn into Geno Smith. There, I said it. Geno Smith was written off for dead. Geno Smith was talked bad about everybody, by everybody, including Shannon Sharp, who was talking about him early in the league, like Geno's going Geno and all that. Geno Smith's going to the Pro Bowl. I don't want Josh Dobbs. I think he's probably pushing 30 years old. I don't want him to wake up and decide I've been in the league for a while and he's a rocket scientist and he's a little bit older and unflappable and all of a sudden turn into Geno freaking Smith and give the Titans an edge. Now, I do believe that they believe he gives them the best chance to win because the rookie Malik isn't ready yet. He's just not ready. He played a couple of games and all he want to do is run around. He can't throw and he's just not ready. So I think that they believe he gives them the best chance to win. And that's the part that scares me a little bit because he's an older dude who has been around, doesn't have to be great, but he can Toby Keith, be as good at once as he ever was or whatever that song says. And I don't want that to happen. I'm a little bit afraid of that. There won't be a ton of pressure on him because they want to run the ball more than anything. But if he does decide to throw off play action, he got somebody in Treylon Burks that can really get deep. Don't fall asleep and let that dude get loose and let them get cheap and easy points and hang around in this game. And then everybody starts getting lemon button and getting all tight. And that could be something that is not good for Jacksonville. So there you go. A good report on Damar Hamlin. Ease in our minds, making us be able to enjoy the game and hoping that Josh Dobbs doesn't turn into Geno Smith and all of a sudden become a competent quarterback, at least, like Luther says, if only for one night, right? You don't want it to happen this night. Do it some other night. Don't do it today. We don't want it to happen come this Saturday, Josh. Just get on up out of here. Let us root for you and how smart you are and all of that stuff, but we don't want that to happen. All right, segment 3 is coming up, but before I get to segment 3, I'm going to let you know that today's show is sponsored by BetOnline.net. It is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college bowl season to basketball and World Cup. We've got it all. BetOnline.net. If you love podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get you betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device and learn more, like the fact that the Brooklyn Nets, even though they can't rebound worth a damn, they're still on the heels of the Boston Celtics for the number 1 seed heading into All-Star break. BetOnline is where the game starts. You start here with me on Locked On Jaguars, making Locked On Jaguars your first listen. And we appreciate that because it's your team every day. All right, man. So speaking of days, at the end of the day, I think the Jags win. And I think they're very fortunate that it's win and get in or lose and go home. They don't have to depend on anybody else. Don't have to wait till Sunday. Unlike the crazy scenario with Seattle and Detroit. If Seattle wins early in the day, Detroit, who plays later on Sunday at Green Bay, Detroit will be eliminated even before the Green Bay game starts if Seattle wins. If Seattle loses, then it's win or get in for both of those teams, Detroit and Green Bay. If Seattle wins and Green Bay beats Detroit, then Seattle themselves will be eliminated. So Detroit needs Seattle to lose. Seattle needs to win and then hope that Green Bay beats Detroit. No, if Seattle wins, Detroit's eliminated. Detroit wants Seattle to lose because if they don't lose, Detroit will be eliminated, right? So even if Detroit gets eliminated, Seattle then still needs Green Bay to beat Detroit if they want to make the playoffs. So wait a minute. Let me see. You need me to lose, but then I need you to win. It's an ugly situation, isn't it? You don't know who your friends or enemies are. Jaguars don't have that problem. The Jaguars win, they are in. The Titans win, they are in. It is as absolute. It doesn't get any easier than that. That is it. I had a lot of people wonder how come the Jags win last week didn't mean anything, because it didn't. Because they end up in a tie, and if they end up in a tie, if Tennessee wins the game, that means Tennessee has a 4-2 division record, and the Jaguars have a 3-3 division record. So they lost that game with the Colts. They lost that game to the Texans early in the year, and they split the division. I personally picked them to win 9 games, and I said that they could go at least 4-2 in the division. How about that? How about that? I got something right? I absolutely did. So at the end of the day, the scene is set. You guys be careful with your tailgating. Enjoy the game. Hope Josh Dobbs doesn't turn into Geno Smith. And make sure you make your second listen to Locked On Today podcast with Peter Bukowski. They give it to you like you can't get it anywhere else. All the biggest stories from around the world of sports with the use of local experts. And boom, you got it. 30 minutes or less. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Locked On Today Sports Show wherever you get your podcast. If you were just watching on YouTube, you saw me sneeze, but you didn't hear it. I'm still having a little bit of respiratory issues, so bear with me. I'll do a post-game or postcast right after the game, even if it's at midnight on Saturday. So make sure you tune in with me. Until then, take care of each other, and I'm going to go make sure I don't choke real quick. But we'll see you next time here on the Locked On Jaguars podcast.